Hello and welcome into another episode of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside Heath Bell, here to break down the San Diego Padres' historic start. They are 7-0, the best start in franchise history. We're going to go into what they've done to be so successful, talk a little bit about the Jackson Merrill extension, and we'll preview their upcoming series against the Chicago Cubs as they begin their first road trip of the season. Heath, 7-0 is something that I think coming into the year, you never really expect a team to go undefeated like this out of the gate. Even if the Padres started the year 5-2, you would have said, hey, this is a great start. To be off to the best start in franchise history, it really has been a fantastic week of baseball. What has stood out to you about this Padres team and the way they've played here over the first 7 games?
Um, First of all, it's awesome to watch them 7-0. My son thinks they're going to be undefeated all year. So he also thinks the Angels are going to be in the World Series too with the Padres. So who knows? But what's really been exciting this week of watching baseball with the Pods is how much it's like team oriented, how much they're playing together. They're not waiting for Tatis to do it, Machado to do it, or Jackson Merrill. Everybody's helping out. They're bringing in guys off the bench. They're coming up getting big hits. Arise kind of struggled a little bit, but he was hitting the ball, and I was probably yelling at the TV too, like, stop swinging at the first pitch. See some pitches. So then, he hit a home run the other day. So he's hitting the ball hard. He's just been hit the ball right at people. So, but you can watch him come in the clubhouse, and he doesn't seem totally frustrated. You don't see guys patting him on his back. It's just like, it's all right. It's fine. We know what you can do. Other guys are picking it up, doing this and that. So it's been really exciting watching them play as a team. We've even bunted, that if anybody's listened to me the last couple of years when I've had different podcasts and stuff, small ball wins the championships all the time, especially in the playoffs, but nobody wants to do it. And you don't have to play small ball all the time, but they're playing baseball. They're not just the cybermetrics of, okay, 80% the chance I'll hit the ball this way. No, let's bunt. Let's move guys. They're being aggressive. They're running, even though they've gotten thrown out. I mean, Sheets has tried to turn a single into a double and got thrown out, but that's fine. You keep being aggressive. Yep. It makes the other team play on their heels, and that's what I love watching right now, how the Padres are playing. They're playing aggressive. And even Mark Grant said it. I don't know what day he said it. He said, isn't it so exciting watching these Padres, and they're not just station to station? And I was like, Grant, I know what you're talking about, because that's all we did. All our offense would, hit a single, then we'd have to get another guy to go to second, another guy to go to third, and another guy to score him. So now you hit the ball and you get 2 hits in a row. It could be 1-0.
Absolutely. That's what's been so impressive is the Padres throughout this homestand have been playing smart, clean, aggressive, high energy baseball, just high quality baseball all the way around. We're seeing stolen bases. They stole 15 bases in 16 attempts. So they're stealing, and they're stealing opportunistically. But we're seeing first to thirds. We're seeing aggressive reads on balls in the dirt. We're seeing them continually put the pressure on the opponent and forcing them into mistakes. We talked about it throughout last week where they're extending innings, beating out double play balls. Yesterday against the Guardians, just the latest example, the little things lead to the big things. If you keep taking extra bases, if you keep forcing the issue, eventually all those extra bases and all those extra outs you're gaining are going to turn into runs. And in the third inning yesterday against Cleveland was just the latest example. 2 outs, Fernando Tatis is up, beats out an infield single on a bang-bang play, and then moves to third on a single to the opposite field by Luis Arraez, again, going first to third after being an infield single. And then the Padres execute a double steal, a delayed double steal. Luis Arraez pulls up at just the right time for Daniel Schneemann not to be able to tag him. Tatis takes off at the exact perfect time, gets in under the throw. All of a sudden, it's 1-0 Padres off of 2 hits and some aggressive base running. And that led to even more runs later on that inning. Jackson Merrill hits a home run on extension day. A 4-run inning that started with beating out an infield single, moving aggressively on a first to third, and executing a double steal. And we've seen the Padres do that throughout the start of this season. And I think it's just one of the things is it's energizing. I talked to Jake Cronenworth about this a little bit after the game, and just playing this kinetic baseball where everyone's constantly moving, you're forcing the issue. You're not waiting for other teams to make a mistake. You are forcing them into mistakes. The Padres are playing fast, they're playing hard, they're playing aggressive, but they're not being reckless. They're also playing smart. It's just been high quality baseball all the way around. It's been very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, him and Tatis stealing home base or home plate last night was pretty exciting, and it kind of reminded me when his rookie year a few years ago when he did that, and all of a sudden everybody was like shocked because you don't really see guys steal bases, especially home, and then all of a sudden he was doing that, and he was doing that before the bases got bigger and easier to steal. So it's fun. It's like Tatis is a kid again back. I mean, gosh, he's only mid-20s, but it's one of those things that you kind of see the spark out of everybody. You see, even Machado has it a little bit where it's just they're having fun and it's not like just going through the motions or like kind of how they were last year. I felt like they were just there playing.
Do you mean 2 years ago? Last year they were playing hard. It was more 2 years ago.
I felt like last year some of the guys were like Cronenworth got off to a really hard, slump early on, and it was whatchamacallit, Profar just took off, but other guys weren't, and it was just kind of like I don't know. It just I'm not saying guys didn't play hard last year. Just the attitude is different this year. They're having more fun from the first day on, and I mean opening day everybody has fun, everybody's excited, but to do it for a whole week, I mean think about it. The Braves were in the playoffs last year. Cleveland was in the playoffs. Those are two really good teams right there, and we just sweep them. Yeah. And they didn't even have a chance really. If you watch the games, we pretty much took over from the first inning on, even though maybe the game was a little close. And we didn't score in the first, but you could just tell we were going to win the game, and I think Cleveland and Atlanta kind of sensed that, like, geez, these guys were running when we opened the gates, and we got to warm up. So anyway.
No question. The Padres are playing just very, very aggressive baseball. I mentioned 15 stolen bases and 16 attempts. We're seeing, stealing home, again, infield singles, first to thirds, sacrifice bunts, aggressive reads in the dirt, all the little things. And what's been also really impressive and what has stood out to me about this stretch as well is that every single facet of the game, the Padres are playing well. It's not like one unit is carrying the team and papering over some otherwise very clear deficiencies. The offense, 1 to 9, up and down the lineup, everyone's contributing. You're seeing hard contact consistently up and down the lineup. Home runs, doubles, all the little things we talked about. The pitching staff has allowed 11 runs in 7 games. This has been a dominant effort from the pitching staff to a man. Everyone in the bullpen, every starter has had a really good start under their belt, at least one right now. Then you look defensively, they've been very, very, very sharp. They've made highlight reel plays. They've made the routine plays. And then base running. There have been a few times, you mentioned Gavin Sheets got thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double. Luis Arias got thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double once. But on the whole, this has been a very, very, very effective, smart, and clean base running team that, as we mentioned, is forcing the issue. Again, hitting, pitching, defense, base running. Every aspect, the Padres are playing really, really high quality baseball right now. And that, to me, is what bodes so well moving forward. Again, it's not like they're, the offense is banging, but they're winning games 13-8, and the pitching staff makes you go, this makes me a little nervous. Or they're out hitting a bunch of defensive mistakes that, over the course of the season will come back to haunt them. Everything has been sharp. And I really, truly mean this when I say, I've covered this team as a professional in some form or fashion since 2015. I've been watching this team since I was 9 years old in 1997. I'm having a hard time remembering a stretch where the Padres have played this complete of baseball consistently. That includes their 98 World Series team. That includes the mid-2000s teams that were in the postseason. That includes the more recent playoff teams. This has probably been the most clean, aggressive, high-quality baseball stretch I can remember from the Padres, and it's really, really been amazing to watch.
Well, it's amazing to watch, exactly what you say. I mean, the pitching has always been their number one key with the Padres, and then occasionally they'll get hot with some base hits, and maybe Adrian Gonzalez will have some home runs or whatnot. But you never really had the speed, the offense, and the pitching. I mean, this past week, we've thrown a lot of strikes, but what I see it, and we haven't walked a lot of people, what I see is the first pitch that pitchers are throwing, or the majority of the pitchers they're throwing, are down in the zone. And then when they have a pitch up, the hitters will swing and miss. Pitchers have this thing where if you're down, 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 and then you're up, throw a high cheese or whatnot, or even a high curveball, the hitters can't hit it. But if you're up in the zone, mid-waist or up, and then you throw the perfect pitch at the knees, hitters crush that ball at the knees. But right now, all the pitchers are throwing consistently down, and occasionally they'll throw up and maybe they'll get a hit or give up a hit or whatnot, or they get a swing and miss, but they're consistently down in the zone. And that's what I love seeing. And they're throwing all their pitches. They're just not getting stuck into throwing just fastballs. Like in spring training, sometimes you just go the 1-2, or you're just throwing one pitch. The starters are the first inning or two, or first time through the lineup, you just throw 1 or 2. They're throwing all their pitches. They're executing their pitches, and it doesn't look like they're trying to overdo it. They're not trying to strike everybody out. They're just trying to, basically like what I was taught back in the day, 3 or less pitches. Let's do that. If you throw 3 or less pitches to every batter, you can't walk them. No free bases. And then, hitting. It's like I said, I've said this in previous times that I'm kind of jealous because I never had an offense like this. I mean, I played with the Padres 10 some odd years ago now, or 15 years ago. But can you imagine the month of June? I want to say it was 09 or 10. We only had 1 stolen base, and that was Greg Maddux. So, yeah, it's a completely different team. I'm just imagining, like, man, how good could I have been on this team? Or I really want to help this team out. So it's really fun to watch, but also it's a little jealous once in a while. I'll admit it. I'll be jealous when I go this summer when I go in the locker room and talk to the guys. I'm like, I'm jealous. I wish I had you guys as my offense. So.
Yeah. They've been completely relentless up and down the lineup. And really, Fernando Tatis Jr. moving back into the leadoff spot has really set the tone. You're seeing the speed element. You're seeing the power. I thought it was a really good microcosm of just how dangerous he can be on opening day against the Braves. Goes 3 for 4 with 2 stolen bases. The very next game, first pitch he sees, bottom of the first, leadoff home run. He can do the traditional leadoff stuff. He can do the explosive, home runs right out the gate that get you started off on the right foot. We talked about, again, beating out infield singles. He plays with such an energy and an explosiveness. It really does set the tone for the entire lineup. And you're right, Manny Machado has been hustling more in this past week than I've seen out of him in many years combined. How much of an influence is it in the clubhouse? I mean, you've lived it when you have a guy at the top of the lineup like a Fernando Tatis Jr. who just sets the tone with his energy and his explosiveness.
When you got somebody in the clubhouse that sets a tone like that, everybody falls in suit. Now, let's just say Machado, has been around. Say he doesn't fall in suit because, he's the veteran guy. Everybody will kind of look and go, come on, dude, everybody's hustling with that. But he understands where, he's hustling. Jackson Merrill's hustling. And I think it kind of brings that whole, like, dude, let me, even if it's a false hustle and I'm, I pretend like I'm running really hard on a ball back to the pitcher. That's better than just, holding your bat and jogging down to first base. Cause what if he drops it, trips or this and that? It only happens once every 100, but then that one time you look horrible. And Machado is literally just going out there and he's playing like in the Baltimore days early on where he's out there. He's, not saying he wasn't trying to help the team before, but it just looks like he's happy. He's fun. It's not all the pressure's not on him. Tatis is doing what he's doing. We got the young Jackson Merrill. Arise is doing his. Machado's like, man, I just got to be Machado. I just got to do what I do. I don't need to carry people. And occasionally I'll carry people just like other guys will. And I think it's probably taking some pressure off him. And then the other guys like Cohenworth and, Jason Hayward and Lockhart. And it's just one of those things that seeing that excitement, and I'm pretty sure you're not seeing it because I've been in it and I've lived in it. You probably heard about it. Music's blaring after games. Guys are dancing. They're doing some weird things. We do a lot of weird things until we open the doors for you guys. But doing, that, and it's probably fun and exciting. And people are almost like, dude, we got to win today because I want to see what so-and-so does. And, those are the unspoken words, but in the clubhouse or the bullpen, people are saying it. So yeah. It's one of those, you're just having a great time. It's like when everything's going good and It's like best way to explain it. It's like Christmas morning and it's like Christmas afternoon. You already opened all your presents. Now it's time to go play. And there's nothing better. And your friends are coming over, or you're going over to the neighbor's house. And it's just like, man, there's nothing better. I get to see what they got. They can see what I have. We're just going to have fun. We're going to play. And it's just a big smile on your face. And hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, Machado again playing explosive as well. I still go back to there was a double steal that he and Xander Bogaerts executed. Two guys that you don't expect necessarily to be running. Jackson Merrill was up, left-handed hitter at the plate. Manny Machado gets a great jump, steals third, sets up a position for a sac fly. Merrill gets the ball in the air, and Manny busts it down the line, beats the throw with a great slide. Just the little things that they're doing. And like you said, when Fernando Tatis Jr. is playing, just incredibly hard, when Manny Machado is playing incredibly hard, the entire team's going to follow. And you're seeing that. And again, Gavin Sheets trying to take extra bases. Luis Arraez trying to take extra bases. Guys who maybe aren't the speediest guys in the world, but you're still seeing that effort, that intent, that aggressiveness. And it really filters down to the whole team. Heath, I wanted to ask you this question because I think it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg argument. Does winning create chemistry, or does chemistry create winning? And you talk about the clubhouse vibes. I was down there, 5 of the 7 games covering them. And like you said, we walk in and they've been blasting Space Jam. That's been the winning theme song after each win. But I would say there's a lot of comfort in the clubhouse. You walk into some clubhouses and you can sense the tension. You can sense just things not being right. And there's just a looseness. Everyone, yeah, there's smiles, but everyone just seems comfortable. How much of it is because they're winning, or is the chemistry the reason why they're winning?
It's more chemistry breeds winning. I mean, when you win, yes, everything's good and, happy, but it kind of masks the things, as in like, there's probably a few guys the coaches don't talk to, or, some players like the coach doesn't believe I can, hit a curveball, or can't hit lefties, or excuse me, or I can't get righties out, or I can't throw my curveball, or this and that. I feel like the coaches and players are all on the same page and everybody's comfortable. But I think chemistry, and they probably did this in spring training, their chemistry is breeding winning, because when you are winning, you can mask a lot of things, but right now that's not this. Not everybody, we're winning, and it's not masking like, oh, you Darvish is hurt, but we don't really know what he's hurt. Nobody's really talking about that, because this team is playing as a team, and it's almost like, hey, when we get you Darvish back, we're going to be even better. And Joe Musgrove is probably sitting back there going, man, I want to play too, but I'll be back in 7 months or 8 months, or I don't know if he's going to have a chance for playoffs. But it's the chemistry in the clubhouse on the field is making them win, because if you're down or you haven't scored, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Like right now, the starting pitcher wasn't King. Was it King last night?
Cease pitched Wednesday, King pitched Tuesday.
Yeah. He went in the 6th inning, right? Or the 7th inning?
Yeah. Cease pitched into the 7th, pitched 6 and a third innings.
And you could tell that, okay, he's doing really well. He hasn't given a run. He got the first 2 guys on. They went out and talked to him, but it was almost like you could see in the clubhouse, you could see on the field, everybody's like, no, dude, we need you to get through 7. Come on, we're going to do it. He ended up not giving up a run. They took him out. He did get one out. But it was just one of those things. You saw the whole team was like rooting on him. And it's early. If you go 5 innings the first week or 2, especially on your second start, that's great. Start off the season. A month or 2 down the road, yeah, you probably want to, if you're one of the main guys, you want to go 6, 7 innings. But just to see the clubhouse and see, when I say clubhouse, I meant players, the players out there, you could see they were rooting for him. They were like, man, if I could dive and catch ball, can I do this? Can I do that? I want you to get through 7, because it'll be just a huge accomplishment. And we're bummed out that it didn't happen, but the bullpen came in, did a great job, got him out of the jam. And you could just tell it's something. If you're watching a game and you could just look at the players' eyes and their attitude and their body language, you can tell a lot from that. And when you played and you're actually on the field, you can tell, like, especially in the bullpen. There's been games where certain guys come in the game and you just see the outfielders are like, okay, they're bringing in this guy because they're like, okay, he's going to give up some hits. Or the other guy that's like dominating, they're like, all right, we're bringing in our main guy. They're just attitudes a little different. So it's fun to watch how they're a team first.
Yeah.
They have great, just clubhouse appearance and attitude, and then they're winning also. So it's been, like I said, I'm really jealous that I'm not on this team right now. And I've got to put my shoes on or call somebody and be a bat boy or somewhere, or be a batting practice pitcher or something. I'll even put the gear on, be a bullpen catcher and tear up my thumb or something like that. So, but just want to be on the team because it seems so much fun right now.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the bullpen. That has been the unit that has arguably been the most impressive. The bullpen has allowed 2 runs in 7 games. They have been absolutely dominant. We saw during the Braves series in the opener when Michael King in the first game and Dylan Cease in the second game, both of them failed to get through 5 innings, which is very, very rare for both of them. Bullpen came out. Right, exactly. It's not an issue, but it's more that the bullpen came out and finished the opener with 5 1/3 hitless innings. The next game in game 2, they threw 5 2/3 scoreless innings, and they've been off and running since then. The rest of the starters, Pivetta, Hart, Vasquez pitched well. King and Cease both pitched really well in their second starts against the Guardians. King 5 innings, 2 hits, 11 Ks. Cease, as we mentioned, pitching into the 7th yesterday, 1 run allowed. This bullpen has been absolutely locked down again. 2 runs in 7 games, and they've been pitching some serious innings. How much, you can speak to this as well as anyone, how much in the bullpen when you see, okay, this guy's going in throwing a scoreless, this guy's going in throwing a scoreless inning, how much do you guys feed off each other? How much does the bullpen feed off that success and wanting to be the next guy to follow it up?
Well, first of all, to start off the year, you want to get your first eggshell. You want to get your first 0. I know guys that will pitch their first inning, and the coach will be like, "You want to go back out?" And they'll literally look at them and go, "Not today. Like, let me just have my first 0, and then you can ask me to pitch every day, multiple innings, blah blah." So I really think the first time you get out there, you want to just put that 0 up. You want to have a good clean inning, and then after that, your second outing is usually when your second through 80 outings. That's when you start feeding off everybody and you're kind of like playing games with everybody. Like, okay, I got this. And then you're almost at the aspect, let's just say somebody comes in front of me. He's struggling a little bit. You're almost, they pull you, like, Heath, get up, in case he scores a run or something like that. Yeah. You're almost itching. Like, let me bail him out. Let me bail him out. Let me help my bullpen buddy out. Let me make sure so he doesn't score a run. And so we don't score runs, and everybody's, feeding off each other. And that's the family within the family of a baseball is the bullpen. I mean, you could say starters are fun, this and that. They're a unit. They play golf. They hang out, whatever. Outfielders, infielders, hitters. Bullpen is the other family in the clubhouse of the family. So, but when things are going well like this, everybody's pitched multiple times now. Everybody's feeding off each other. Everybody's trying to help each other out. So it's just like, if little brother doesn't have it or big brother doesn't have it, little guy wants to help out, big guy wants to help out. It's just, it's a fun time down there. And, when somebody ends up, and it's going to happen, it's a long season. My son doesn't think it's going to happen, but somebody goes up and gives up like 3 or 4 runs, you're going to feel really bad for that guy. And you're going to be like, it's all right. And you're going to like motivate him the next 3 weeks to go out and pitch great. And dude, you're a great pitcher. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. Because it does happen to everybody, even the best, like Trevor Hoffman. But it's a fun time to watch. It really is. I just got to say this real quick. Did you see the opening day with the Angels? What their bullpen did?
Yes, I did.
But opening day, you end up with a position player pitching.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
And yesterday, the Angels gave up 11 runs across the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, their bullpen. So
they scored 3, gave up 3, scored 3, gave up 3. It was,
we
were flipping back and forth. We have a friend that was in town that was an Angel fan. So we were kind of going back and forth. And it was like, really? Didn't they just score 3? Yeah. And they gave up 3. Like, okay, another inning.
Yeah, again, never take a good bullpen for granted. And again, it's been 2 a man. Omar Cruz, last man in the bullpen, the long man, rookie, makes his major league debut, comes out against the Guardians, and first batter strikes out Nolan Jones swinging through mid-90s fastball, and then retires a side in order. I mean, every single guy in the bullpen has been on point. And I think, Heath, too, you talk about how much fun this team is, the style of baseball they're playing. The fans are feeding off that. I really go back to Monday night. It was cold. It was rainy. Again, it's a Monday in April. School's in session. and 43,000 fans filled the ballpark. Every seat was filled. And yes, it was Jackson Merrill bobblehead night, but it's not like the fans showed up, got their bobblehead, and left. They were in their seats first to last to the very final out, going crazy. And then again, the next night, Tuesday night, it was cold. It was windy. I was up in the press box, and those of us in the front row moved into the back rows because it was so cold. Again, a Tuesday night in April against Cleveland, school's in session, it's freezing, and still 43,000 fans show up and they're going crazy. Just the atmosphere in Petco Park right now, it's really, really electric on the field, the fans. It really feels like, again, this is a team that the city has already attached itself to. Even Gavin Sheets, we've talked about as a non-roster invitee, had a great spring training, has come up with some huge hits already. Big pinch hit homer in the opener, bunch of doubles since then. He's already getting holy Sheets chants every time he walks the plate. He's talked about it. It's given him chills. This isn't Tatis, this isn't Machado. Even the new additions, the city and the fans are latching onto. The atmosphere right now is pretty exceptional. And you can talk about that too, how, look, for a lot of your years in San Diego, it was 15,000 fans not showing up. And I mean, how much do the players really feed off of having a sellout crowd going crazy for them, especially when it's early April and plenty of other teams aren't getting fans right now?
I'm telling you, I don't know how to describe it, but opening day we always had sold out. Then the next day we'd have about 15,000, and it was kind of like we could win opening day against the Dodgers. Next day, go out to the field, and you're like, all right, everybody's at home. It's like, so it's one of those things that even if you don't get a lot of fans at home, and then you go on the road, like we used to go to Philly and New York, where it was packed. It was exciting to play there, even though they were yelling at you and saying things you don't want to repeat. But the thing is like, man, it's that adrenaline that you have, and it's even better when it's your own fans. Like the Padres are going to be going to Chicago. It's going to be a sellout, their opener and all that. And Wrigley's the way it is, unless the weather's horrible. But I think the whole series will be a sellout. Well, they're going to go, and there's going to be Padre fans there, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting. Not just because it's Cubs opening day, because the stadium's going to be full. And yeah, they're going to say, we're better than you, or we're going to, take your first loss or something like that, give you your first loss. But it's that adrenaline of just, it's great. Like I even said, I guess Christmas morning, it's one of those things else, it's exciting. It's that adrenaline where if you just, had a bad day, or your shoestring broke and then you had to get a new one, you're off your rhythm. As soon as you come down the tunnel, come to the clubhouse, you kind of hear that roar. They're not even cheering. You just hear that roar of everybody talking. And then you come out there and they kind of like Sheets, they're just kind of chapping, hey, good job last night. Makes you feel good about yourself, even if you're not starting that night, this and that. It just, the bullpen's been doing great, goes out to the bullpen before the game. Everybody's cheering you and you haven't even done anything yet. It's like, wow, man, I want to play tonight. I want to be in front of this. And, I want to be a part of this. And it brings a smile to your face. And it's fun to say. I've said this to my brother and other things the other day, as he was talking about his company, and there's one guy that's not very happy and he just kind of brings the morale down in the office. And I said, look, if you make him happy somehow, tell him a joke or something, because negativity will bring negativity down. But if you have a positive person, most people will start being positive around him. There's that one guy that'll probably bring that positive person down, but if you can't bring him down, then it just turns into positivity and it'll breed it. And it's just fun to be around people that are positive, even if you're going to tease them. Let's just be honest with you. Yeah. If they're so positive, but when it's never fun, even if somebody's negative, even if you're going to tease the negative guy and you're a positive person, it's not fun being around that. So having the fans be a part of it and to just embrace. Here's the thing, what I love about the fans and the ownership. The ownership has really embraced the fans the last couple of years. Peter was awesome. He walked along the stadium. The Seidler family probably doesn't walk as much, but I imagine they will eventually after this whole ownership thing kind of clears away. They're going to be like what Peter was. They're going to be fans, kind of like the Savannah Bananas, fans first. Like, we're going to be with you guys. We're maybe not give you everything the Bananas give you, but it's one of those things that hey, let me listen to what you guys have to say, the ticket holder, not just the sweet guys up there. So it's the Seidler family has done a great job. And what's great about this is the fans have had ownerships that have, I want to basically say, they've lied to the fans. Hey, we're going to try to win. And then they trade off their guys, blah, blah. The fans have actually believed the Seidlers because they said, hey, we're going to go spend money. They go do. Hey, we can't spend a whole lot of money, but we're going to pick and choose where we're going to do it. They've done that. They've done their homework. So the fans have listened to the owners and the owners have listened to the fans, and they're on the same page. So when that's happening, and I've talked about, if everybody's on the same page, you're all going the same direction. Hey, we need fan support. Fans show up, get the team rolling. And then the team goes out there and hustles for them. And then they win. And then it breeds more. And then it's just a domino effect of all these different things. And yeah, and I don't even know what your question was that you first asked me, but I'm just going to keep going because it's so fun to talk.
You make the point again. I think that ultimately is the legacy of Peter Seidler, is that he invested in the product, he invested in the team, and there's always been a love of baseball in San Diego and a desire to have a professional sports franchise that will carry the banner for the city, especially after the Chargers left. But there's enough to do in San Diego that if the owners are not going to invest, people aren't going to show up. But once the owners invest in the team and show they care, fans are going to show up to watch a great product and a great team. And I really do think seeing 43,000 fans going crazy, first inning to the ninth on a Monday night against Cleveland when it's cold, wet, and rainy, the fact that that's where the Padres franchise is, where it came from to where it is now, it is truly remarkable. And that ultimately, I think, is Peter Seidler's legacy. And Heath, you mentioned something as well, again, spending money. And we've seen the Padres go out and shell out some big free agent contracts. Go back starting with Eric Hosmer, then of course Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts. They signed Fernando Tatis Jr. to an extension. The latest big extension, Jackson Merrill, on Wednesday signed for 9 years, $135 million. Depending on various options, bonuses, and escalators, it could max out at 10 years and $204 million. And this was a really seminal moment for the franchise because Jackson Merrill is the one guy on this team that is truly homegrown. The rest were free agent signings. Fernando Tatis Jr. was acquired in a trade from the White Sox. In fairness, he never played a professional game in the White Sox organization. So for all intents and purposes, he was developed exclusively through the Padres organization. But in terms of someone who was drafted, scouted, signed, developed as an amateur, brought up through the organization, Jackson Merrill is the one guy, and the Padres just secured him. And, we talk about this franchise for so many years. When they had good players, it was a question of, okay, well, how long are we really going to have them? Because they're going to be traded off in 3 to 4 years. And it was pretty rare for the Padres to keep anyone past, again, that 4 or 5 year mark. There were exceptions, Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, but over the course of this franchise's history, it was, okay, we have this great young player. We're probably only going to have him for 3 or 4 years. Having that homegrown player that is now going to be a part of this franchise for the next decade and has already accomplished so much at a young age, that to me as well is really a seminal moment for the franchise, just because it shows how much things have changed yet again. And again, without the investment of Peter Seidler and his family in recent years before Peter's passing, and really what they've continued to do even since then. To me, that's the ultimate mark of how much this franchise has changed. And that Jackson Merrill extension really was just a really seminal moment for the franchise.
Yeah, the Seidler family's pretty much changed the MO in San Diego about, hey, we're just not going to get that 1 or 2 players like Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman to stay for their majority of their career.
Yeah.
It's like you said, really the only homegrown guy. When you scout him, you draft him, you bring him through the minor leagues. I mean, I know Tatis, but really he wasn't homegrown. I mean, he came through one year in the minor leagues with us, but we didn't scout him. We might have scouted him, but we didn't draft him. But Jackson Merrill, when I first heard it, I was really excited. And also I was really surprised at how much, I thought it was going to be around 200 million or something like that. I mean, I know incentives, it can go up, but then again, what he said, hey, I want to be here. I want to be a part of a team that, if I go and break, basically in so many words, I think he said, if I go break the bank and get 200-300 million, we probably can't sign a bunch of other guys. this is fine. This is comfortable. I'm happy. My kids are going to be happy. My grandkids are going to be happy. And we can still go out and sign, and I want to win championships here. That, especially as a 21, 22-year-old, that's hugely – I'm very proud of that guy, very honored. That's just very what am I trying to say? It's almost like –
It's very mature. It's not just about –
very refreshing, especially after this offseason with Soto and all that. It's very refreshing to somebody go, hey, $140 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. I'm perfectly fine. I don't need to go out and break the bank. I don't need to play and go, hey, let me see how I do this year or midseason, or drag it on for a couple, months, do really well and say, well, hey, I really want to be compared to so-and-so, or get Tatis's deal, this and that. He's like, no, I like the team. This is a crap load of money. Anybody in the stands would take it. And this will help the team, get more guys down the road. So I think it was awesome for him to do. I think it was awesome for him to say. It's so exciting. And the best part about it, this guy was a shortstop that last year, hey, have you ever played the outfield? Yeah, when I was in Little League. Like when I was 8 years old or something, I think I played the outfield or something before everybody really knew that I was the best shortstop around. So it was really fun to see and really exciting for him to say that, and just to think about him. I think he should have won Rookie of the Year last year. And, it's one of my picks for the MVP this year. I mean, hey, if he keeps hitting the way he does, he might have a hitting streak going. So you never know. But it's fun to watch him. It really is. It kind of reminds me of Steve Finley / Ken Griffey Jr. back in the day. Just kind of mixed together. It's a potential. He could be as good as Griffey. You never know. But it's just like Steve Finley and Griffey kind of put into one. Kenny Loft and the great outfielders that I saw, Jim Edmonds growing up and played with. So it's just fun to watch. Like I said, man, I want those guys on my team. I want to start pitching again. So everybody at this time goes, Heath, do you miss it? And I go, not really. But I've been watching the Padres more going, shit, my old team's really good. I want to play. I want to go do it. So, but then I get up and my back hurts and my knees pop and I'm like, maybe not.
You mentioned those franchise center fielders, and again, I'm not going to put a Hall of Famer like Ken Griffey Jr. on the kid, but the Padres haven't had a franchise center fielder. They've only had, in their entire franchise history, the Padres have only had one center fielder start on opening day more than 3 years in a row, and that was Steve Finley, who did it 4 years. They've never had that center fielder that they can just plug in, and they know every day for a decade, yep, we're set. We've got that elite franchise player out there. And I mentioned this. If you look at the guys who have jumped from AA straight to the majors and finished top 3 Rookie of the Year voting, it's a really, really short list, and it's all elite players. It's Mike Trout. It's Juan Soto. It's Julio Rodriguez. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. That's the company Jackson Merrill is in. We talked about last year with his 5 go-ahead home runs or game-tying home runs in the 8th inning or later last year. The only other players to do that in their age 21 or younger seasons are Frank Robinson and Mel Ott, 2 Hall of Famers. So he has already put himself in elite company, both past and present, with what he's done. And this year, we talked about Fernando Tatis Jr. coming out in the leadoff spot and just playing explosive, exciting baseball. We've talked about Manny Machado coming out, playing as fast and hard as he has in a long time and performing at the plate. Jackson Merrill right now, his swing looks absolutely flawless. It looks like the swing of a batting champion. He's balanced. He's on time. Even when he gets caught out front, he's still getting the barrel through the zone. We saw that opening day against Chris Sale, that 1-2 slider poked into center field for a 2-run single. I mean, last year he hit 290 with 24 homers and 16 steals. 330 home runs and 20 steals would only represent a modest improvement. And the way he's swinging the bat right now, that feels very, very, very attainable. He looks locked in, really to a degree that we've seen him good before, but his swing right now is absolutely flawless.
I think he looks comfortable. Early on last year, I think he was excited. He was playing like he is now, but like it's kind of that, okay, I'm in the big leagues. This is fun. This is great. And now he's just playing ball. Kind of where the last season or last year at the end of the season, he was just playing ball. And yeah, he game tying home runs and game winning home runs, but it was just, you could see the elevation or evolvement of the course of the year. Excited opening day, kind of teared down a little bit, just a tad, because, hey, you're in the big leagues. okay, let me just start playing. Now he feel like I've established myself. I'm just going to be Jackson Merrill. I'm not going to try to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to try to do this. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go out and play. And that's what he's doing. And he's that good. So it's just been really fun to watch him. And it's going to be really fun to watch him for the next 9 years and hopefully 9 years past that. So it's going to be really interesting this year to watch him play and to see how well he does. And then, when you were saying like, okay, we have a center fielder that's going to be there for the next, umpon years. Okay. If you really think about it, we got right field, we got center field, we got third base, shortstop, and almost like second base. Those positions are pretty much locked up. I mean, I know Bogarts moves around, Cronenworth moves around, but think about just when we grew up watching baseball, even before I was playing, you knew guys on every team. Now free agency's kind of moved, and every 3 or 4 years or 6 years you get trades and be this and that. You're starting to see the San Diego of old, as in every guy on the team. And I think that's what's really fun and exciting for the fans is they know everybody on the team. There's not, well, I know about 2 or 3 guys, or my kid probably knows everybody. He even knows the bench guys. And it's one of those things, and that's exciting. And it's just not your one or two top guys, your ace, your closer, and then who else is on the team? Did he get traded yet? Now it's no, we got to keep this guy, So, and I feel like Sheets is one of those guys that I think everybody's kind of embraced, and everybody probably go at, well, see, you go to Chicago in a horrible atmosphere. That was me in New York at the time. You just don't perform. You come someplace that you're comfortable, everybody's honest with you, and you have a good vibe, you got a good attitude, you can do really well. So I feel like that's what's happening right now with Sheets, and it's fun to watch.
It absolutely is. I talked to him a bunch during the homestand, and one of the things he talked about was, again, he's made physical changes. He's standing more upright in his stance a little bit. He's in a better position to fire and load. He's also just taking a better approach, more up through the middle of the field. But aside from the physical, one of the things he's talked about is how refreshing it is to be in a clubhouse like the Padres, surrounded by so many guys, and just getting that fresh start. And one of the things he mentioned the other night was he's having fun again. There was a 1 to 2 year stretch, he said, that he kind of lost that feeling a little bit. Wasn't having as much fun. And look, when the White Sox go 41 and 121, as much as that team, said all the right things and put a brave face on, it's not fun losing 121 games. He talked about he's having fun again. And you can speak to this, how much that will affect performance. A lot of times we get so caught up in the physical and the metrics and what, this data says. And at the end of the day, baseball is such a mental game. If you're just loose and having fun, you're going to play better.
Well, like I said, I was with the Marlins and we had a bunch of other guys and we didn't do really well, but I tried to get the team to come together and nobody wanted to do anything. And I've been on teams where everybody does stuff together, and I've been on teams when nobody wants to do anything. And sometimes you win, but it's not that much fun to win when after the game, you're not like, say, going out to the bars, but you're having a good time after the game. You chit chat with the guy next to you, this and that, and have a conversation. Or you can win games and the guy next to you is dressed up and ready to go and he's leaving. And it's like, okay, you almost feel like you're at a job, and we're good at our job and we're winning, but you're not a family. And I'm a big believer in, if you're a team, you're a family. If you lose a game, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. We'll win more than we lose, but you have fun going to work. And that's what's happening right now with Sheets. It's you're having fun to come, to the clubhouse every day. Even if you're not playing, it's okay. He has the feeling, and the coaches have showed him there's a chance you might play today. You might not, but there's a chance you might play. But then there's some games that, some clubs that man, I'm not in the lineup because I went 0 for 3. Probably won't be in the lineup for 3 days. So you're kind of like, okay, so let me work harder, or the attitude's down.
Yeah.
Where if you like, say if Sheets don't get in the game for 3 days, he's probably not going to be that bummed. We're winning, everybody's doing well. He's going to be like, it's okay, tomorrow I'll be in, or tomorrow I'll get that pitch hit. He'll get that drive because the clubhouse, the team is a family. The coaches are talking to him, and it's not just like, we haven't put you in 2 days, we're not going to talk to you. It's like, hey, this is the reason I didn't put you in, don't worry. If the situation arises tomorrow, or like in 2 days, we're going to face this guy and you're going to start then. And in 2 days it happens. There's that trust thing. That you believe in each other. Everybody's going the same direction. Yeah. And that creates winning, and that creates a team, and that could create a dynasty. I mean, it's early to say that, but what the Sider family has done has had the chance of a dynasty, because like Jackson Merrill's here, Tatis, there's so many guys that are, as long as we just don't trade guys away. Now we need to sign some pitchers, and that's going to, over time. But it's one of those things that the position players are starting to lock up. Now, if we get some pitchers locked up there, now you can throw that dynasty word starting around. So you never know. Maybe a little early on that aspect. Maybe my kid's kind of getting to me.
Yeah, I think we need to get a little later. Yeah, well, that's down the road. But I think right now, again, 7-0 off to a great start. Padres head into their first road trip of the season. 3 games against the Chicago Cubs. It'll be the Cubs home opener on Friday. Then they go up to Sacramento to face the A's in the AAA ballpark, where the ball is absolutely flying. Starting with the series against the Cubs, just previewing it real quick. The Cubs have a really, really good offense. I talked about this on our preseason show. I thought they were going to win the NL Central just because top to bottom, that lineup 1 to 9, they're very, very dangerous. Entering tomorrow, or as of today, I should say, they have the highest scoring offense in baseball. Heath, you pitched in Wrigley Field. When the wind's whipping, the ball's flying out, what are some of the things that you can speak to from your experience pitching there that you'll be watching for from the Padres as they start their first road trip of the season in Chicago?
Oh, really? You just got to look where the wind's blowing, in the first inning. It might switch to later in the game. Basically, if you're in Chicago and I think if there were waves, the wind's going to be blowing in. If there's no waves, the wind's going to be blowing out. Yeah, I think that's how it works. It's been a long time since I've been to Chicago, but it's kind of like that aspect, see how the wind's blowing. Is the wind really blowing? Is it not? And then if the wind's not really blowing, then it's just a regular baseball. You don't have to worry about it. Wind's blowing in. You can miss spots a little bit more. But if the wind's blowing out, you really got to just hit your spots, try to get everybody to hit into the ground. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, the Cubs are doing really well. They ran into Atlanta that wasn't doing well. They played in a AAA ballpark against the Oakland, and I think that AAA ballpark is going to inflate a lot of people's stats.
Oh yeah.
So they've scored a lot of runs, but now they're home. Are they going to have the pressure of, hey, we need to win now? I mean, they're playing really well. I mean, they lost overseas to the Dodgers, but they're starting to play really well and they're hitting the ball. So if the Padres can just go into Chicago and keep playing like they are, I think they could win. I'm a big believer in let's just win the series, but it's going to be fun to watch because you got 2 offenses kind of colliding right now, and Wrigley is kind of that place. It depends what the weather's like. It could be no wind early the first 3 or 4 innings, and then all of a sudden just a slight wind where the fans don't really feel it, but out in the bleacher seats you're going to feel the wind, and the ball could just, as soon as it gets up in the jet stream, it just kind of takes off. So anytime you played in Wrigley, you just had to know that, hey, I got to hit my spots. I don't always have to throw hard. I just got to hit my spots. Yeah. And location's a lot better, young guys, than speed. Yeah, speed's real sexy and all that, but location gets you paid. So just think about that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the matchup I'm most excited to see is, we talked about this Padres pitching staff that has allowed 11 runs in 7 games against a Cubs offense that has scored the most runs in the majors and has scored the most runs in the majors by a wide margin. They have 60 runs already this season. The next closest team, the Dodgers, has 45 runs. So a great pitching staff that's throwing the ball really well versus a very good offense that's really on fire. That's the matchup I'm going to be most looking forward to seeing. Heath, any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
No, I sorry, Padre fans, we're going to lose a game this year. Somebody said that. I mean, but I'm just fun. It's just really fun to watch everything, the way the Padres are playing. And, like I was watching the Angels and how they've done this, or the torpedo bats with the Yankees. It's just a fun time in baseball right now. I mean, I think in any sports, this week is the most exciting week of any sport. You got beginning of basketball. It's fun, whatever. Football, it's one day. It's great. It's not the whole week. Baseball has just been really fun to watch, and hockey is awesome to go to, but it's not an everyday thing like baseball. So, and there's been so many different things that have happened this week, not just with the Padres. with other teams. So this week has just been a blast. I got my jersey from Fantasy League. I'll bring out my old jerseys in a couple weeks down the road. But anyway, just wanted to just really excited, and hopefully next time we get on, we've only lost one game because we're gonna go to Oakland sometime, or not Sacramento or whatever it is. We're gonna play in minor league ballpark and probably hit 40 home runs that week. So who knows? All right, let's watch them in Wrigley. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
I do miss Harry Carey, by the way.
I think we all do. Padres 7-0, heading into their first road trip of the season. It's been a great start to the season. We will see what happens next. This has been another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a like, review, subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We'd love to hear from you. It helps us out. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. We'll be back next week. Have a good one, everybody.